In 1976, Rocky was released. It was not Sylvester Stallone's very first film, but it was the film that really catapulted him into superstardom, and he hasn't looked back from it. So, Rocky was one of the first films that really made me fall in love with cinema. It wasn't probably the first, but I remember being a kid, and whenever I'd go up north to visit my grandparents, they always had a VHS copy of Rocky V, and I loved seeing it because of the fights and the training stuff and pumped up the energy. But let's be honest, right? Rocky 1 from 1976 is simply the very best one that there is. So, yeah, the movie is an underdog story. It's a kind of a cliched underdog story. This complete nobody, just by chance, becomes the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he must do all he can to overcome the odds. Now, even though that does sound like a heavily cliched story, just about all of that came from Rocky. Of course, nowadays, that's one of the biggest tropes in the book, but seeing where that all came from, it feels a lot less cliched and a lot less unoriginal, because Rocky was essentially the originator of all that. So, yeah, this movie kind of mirrors Sylvester Stallone's own life a little bit. He was absolutely dirt poor. He was willing to take any job that he possibly could. And after several rewrites of the Rocky script, he was handing it into places. And eventually, MGM really liked it. But they wanted bigger name stars. So Sly stood by his guns. And eventually, Rocky won Best Picture, Best Director that year. And even though Rocky wasn't my number one favorite of 1976, I thought Taxi Driver was better. Still, very, very deserving of it. I it was the perfect winner. So, yeah, seeing a movie about this underdog who's so uneducated and isn't really good at anything, eventually just by chance become an overnight sensation. Just almost just by randomness. It's so nice to see, because he lives just such a rinky-dink life in the slums of Philadelphia. He makes his money two possible ways. Okay. He fights in his prize fighter, of course, boxing. He just does things at local clubs. And he also works part-time for this mobster. So, yeah, every time he successfully gets some money for the loan shark, then, he gets some commission out of it. But still, Rocky is so uneducated. He doesn't have any skills at all. But, he's trying to live life the best that he possibly can. And he eventually works up the courage to ask out his best friend's sister named Adrian, who, Rocky is able to see all the good in her extremely shy exterior. But meanwhile, the world champion, Apollo Creed, is really the best that there is. He's best in the world. So good. And right around the time of the big event for America's bicentennial, the number one contender gets injured, can't make the fight. So Apollo Creed is looking through a long list of potential challengers, and he handpicks Rocky. Simply, the only reason he chooses Rocky is because he likes Rocky's nickname, the Italian Stallion. Doesn't know who on earth Rocky is, but he likes the name. The Italian Stallion catches his eye, And so but he also figures, nobody knows who Rocky is. Even local people from Philadelphia don't know who Rocky Balboa is. And what better way to talk about the American dream during its bicentennial than to give a complete nobody a shot at the title? So Rocky does have doubts about possibly winning, but he does know that if he tries hard enough and goes the distance, then maybe he'll be able to be a champ himself one day, maybe even surpass Apollo Creed. Yeah, the movie is one of the most enjoyable and motivational and maybe life-changing films that you'll ever end up seeing. Even if you don't like the whole sports film genre, definitely see Rocky. You'll never ever regret it in your life. Rocky from 1976, easy 4-star score.